All other countries, notwithstanding the usage of the word blockchain in maybe the announcement of their laws and acts, are still very much focused on cryptocurrencies.
Revving the blockchain engine with international standardization. The ISO/TC 307 standard aims to develop an international approach for blockchain applications and protocols. How does this compare to national models? Moderated by Sinaida Epp, ISO. Steve Tendon, ChainStrategies. George Cutajar, Standardization Directorate. Gordon Parch, University of Malta. Wayne Grixti, Malta Digital Innovation.
Yeah, welcome, dear delegates. Excuse me, I'm using a book and a pen because to moderate a panel with 4 brainy guys is quite a job. So I remember from the last summit, we created on the conference app group regarding the international standard ISO TC 307, and out of 5,500 people, only 3 people showed interest, and if you are in the audience, thank you very much for that. So we are here in the full capacity of the National Mirror Committee, which was created in Malta. Mirror Committee is a national committee, and we are reporting to the International Organization for Standardization, and we are working on the co-creation of the new international standard on blockchain and ledger technologies. So, and I just wanted to yeah, it sounds very formal, but life has the best stories, and there is a little story behind it. After the last blockchain summit, we had the Blockchain Island Club meetup, a monthly one, and one of the experts in healthcare, a member of the club, she came up with the ISO standardization, and we jumped in with ISO 307. So then we went to the ISO page, and we saw that 42 countries are taking part in the creation of the standard. We didn't find Malta, so we went through the ministries, first economics, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, then Ministry of Legal Affairs and Justice, and we ended up at MCCAA. This is an organization responsible for the national standardization, and this organization is adopting EU regulations and international standards in Malta on the national level. So, George, I would like to pass it to you, and can you explain how you work? Because you are co-creating a historical standard, actually.
Yeah. Good afternoon, everyone. Yes, MCCAA, as you said, is the national standards body. We are by law, we enable industry, local industry, to participate in standardization, both at European level and international level. One of our remits is to enable industry to set up technical committees, like this one, to follow ISO technical committees, European technical committees, and one of them is ISO TC 307. As you already said, ISO TC 307 is working on a number of standards, and as a committee, we invited a number of stakeholders in Malta to participate in this national committee in order to be able to provide a national collective feedback to the international community on standardization. So, how it works, mainly we have, as MCCAA, we have access to ISO, to these committees. They produce documentation, they produce papers in which we can give full feedback in them. We can meet actively, we can participate in these meetings that are held throughout the year, and we can comment and participate in the actual text of these standards. So this is the main remit of MCCAA in these standards?
So we created this National Mirror Committee, and obviously the committee members, who are they? They are the main experts in the blockchain field. We have world-class experts in the team. We have the main regulatory organizations of Malta. And I would like to go to you, Steve Tendon. I have two questions to you. First, as you know, Steve was the one who created the strategy for blockchain for Malta, and it became a national strategy. And then the first 3 laws were developed on blockchain with Max Ganado Advocate. And one question is, actually you were aiming blockchain, to regulate the blockchain. What about crypto? Because the businesses are complaining that Malta did not issue licenses on crypto businesses. And my second question is, you as all committee members received drafts from ISO, yes, through MCCAA. So we are working on drafts, yes, before something is approved by ISO. We have a look, we do our corrections. Can you evaluate on that?
Okay, so there are 2 questions here, but the first one, during the development of the whole legal infrastructure underpinning the blockchain island, we had a very, very clear focus from the very early beginning in 2016 that we wanted to create something about blockchain, not necessarily about crypto. And that's why apparently Malta is somehow appeared to be lagging behind other jurisdictions that were very, very quick to come out with rules for the crypto space in 2017-18 when we witnessed the booms of the ICO and the Bitcoin rocket. But Malta was very busy on another front, which was about blockchain. All other countries, notwithstanding the usage of the word blockchain in maybe the announcement of their laws and acts, are still very much focused on cryptocurrencies. The first law is the VFA Act, and that takes care of that. So Malta is covered on the cryptocurrencies side, but the other laws with institution of the MDIA, represented here by Wayne Grixti, and the Virtual Financial Assets Act was squarely aimed at the blockchain technology as such. I'm sure Wayne will explain more how that is actually happening. But one key concept is that these technologies needed to be certified, and you cannot certify it unless you have something of reference, and that's where the standards come in. And yes, I was mightily disappointed that Malta was not part of this international effort. As Sinaida mentioned, 42 countries were cooperating on it, and that's what triggered the whole process, and now we are part of it. And even if we came in late, we took ownership of all the 11 substandards, because in the ISO TC 307, it's not one standard, it's like 11 substandards which take care of different aspects like security, interoperability, identity, smart contract governance, and reference architectures. Already in the first interaction, I and Gordon were able to submit some comments because obviously being on the leading edge globally on what it means to regulate blockchain technology, we have our views, and we hope that we can contribute to the shaping of the international standard, and then see how that fits into the national provisions of MCCAA and MDIA.
Yeah, well, I would like you, Wayne Grixti, to talk about the national auditor scheme, because, as you know, in this short time, like within 1 year time, there was a ministry created by the Prime Minister, our Prime Minister, Honorable Joseph Muscat, and he used to say that the seed was planted in a fertile soil, so the government is always responsive and supportive. And one of the big organizations which has been created is MDIA, Malta Digital Innovation Authority. So Wayne Grixti is the Chief Technology Officer, and would like you to tell us about the national auditing scheme.
Okay, thank you, Sinaida. Steve mentioned one of the substandards, the reference architecture. And looking at the standard, the substandard alone, it's very encouraging, because when you look at our certification program, and when you look specifically at the technology nomenclature that we came out with last year, when there was no other standard, it's very similar. It seems like it was copied from our framework, to say the least. So there's the implementation, the DLT platform, the on DLT application, and the off DLT applications. Also, the mention of the auditors. We mentioned systems auditors, but in the substandards they are called DLT auditors. But why? Because the framework, the laws that we enacted last year, okay, we started with blockchain, but they are technology agnostic. So we started with blockchain last year, but this year we also expanded our framework to also include AI. So when we were at the blockchain task force, and we were thinking also of being part of this technical committee of the standard back then, but we did rightly so last summer. We wanted to have a framework that is not technology specific, because we wanted the legal framework to be pari passu with the technology, which we know is fast, on a fast pace. Last year, we published the guidelines, we started accepting applications for systems auditors, and today we have the first 5 systems auditors which will be looking at the technology, and this is something Steve also mentioned a little, that other countries are looking at the crypto side, at the fintech side, but they are not looking at the technology part. And that is something that we are still unique here in Malta, that we are giving assurance from the technical side.
Okay, as I mentioned previously, our committee is very proud to have the world-class brains here in Malta, and here in the committee, which is like Steve Tendon or Joshua Ellul. He's in another panel at the moment, but I have to mention him. And now I'm getting to you, Professor Gordon Patch, because you are well known in the blockchain industry as one of the brains. And can you elaborate how it concedes from the perspective of educational and research institution?
Indeed. So the University of Malta has been active in the blockchain field for quite a few years now. And in fact, over this past 1.5 years, we've launched a center for DLTs. We're very active in terms of both research, but also in terms of education. We've launched a multidisciplinary master's. And all this ties very closely to the concept of standardization, right? I mean, in academia, standards are a two-edged sword. On one hand, they're a great opportunity to have standards out there and to contribute to such standards and have means of communication with industry partners who maintain such standards. But on the other hand, from a research perspective, we're always trying to push the boundary of how things are done. So we're always trying to go beyond the existing standards. Now, standards are there to evolve over time, but clearly, you know, the two pull together and at the same time away from each other. But it's a great opportunity for the University of Malta to participate in such a committee. Primarily, I think one of the most interesting things is the tying in with the national strategy. Wayne has just been talking about the systems auditors, the technical auditing of systems, which ties in very closely to the standards being defined. And this is also one of the main foci that the University of Malta has been working on. So the looking at the standards and looking at how the integration of the standards in the educational part and also in the research part, because I think this is also a crucial aspect, right? The universities play a dual role. They're both educational entities and research entities, and the University of Malta plays both very heavily at the same time. So on one hand, we have to look at these standards and support their creation from the research also aspect that is going on, but also look at it particularly from the multidisciplinary nature of, for example, our master's program, because here we've got different people coming in from a technical background, from a legal background, from a finance and business background. So looking at these standards and integrating the content and the approach outlined in these standards as part of the guiding light of such programs is, I think, essential.
Thank you very much. Just back to businesses, how does it all influence businesses, companies? Of course, as a committee, we are receiving drafts. Yes, we are looking into it. The experts are doing the corrections as well, but because without our corrections and feedback, ISO cannot unanimously approve international standard. Yeah, what I want to say about businesses, ISO approaches also big businesses, and a committee can approach experts and companies to give them the drafts, to have a look, and because the companies are working in the field and they are interested to create a good standard, and it's very important. So we can find stakeholders participating in our work as well from businesses. Another very important point is that ISO standard, this one on blockchain and ledger technologies, is under development. When the standard will be approved, then the companies will apply to have this certification, and that means to be in compliance with the international standard on blockchain and ledger technologies, a company has to fulfill the norm, the standard. And obviously, we would be auditing, so we would create blockchain auditors, international ones, and we would be auditing companies, and the companies would get this certification on international level. So, yeah, and to wrap everything up, just wanted to say that obviously as a National Mirror Committee, we are in touch with the International Organization of Standardization, and we voted in our last committee meeting that we will propose to ISO to host here in Malta one of the next sittings, which will be obviously a historical event. And we just met Honorable Silvio Scambri, and he just confirmed that he would support us in that. And that was all, and I thank you very much for your attention.